Welcome to the first episode in a Legendarium series about Justinian's Wars. In the first installment, The Victor of Dara, we will talk about how the nephew of a peasant and swineherd became emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. With his wife, Empress Theodora, at his side, Justinian confronted his first great enemy, Shah Kavadh of Sassanid Persia. Justinian I was born Petrus Sabatius in Dardania, a province of the East Roman Empire, in 483 AD. He was born only 7 years after the fall of the Western Empire, and to view my video on the fall of the West Roman Empire, follow the link in the description. Justinian was a Latin-speaking Illyrian and born to a peasant family. He spent most of his early years herding pigs. Yet, he had an uncle named Justin who left home to join the army and later served in the imperial guard. Under the East Roman Emperor Anastasius I, Justin became commander of the palace guard and earned the title of Count. Though married, Justin had no children of his own, so he asked his favorite nephew Justinian to join him at court. Thus, Justinian left rural poverty behind for the glories of Constantinople, the largest and richest city in Europe. At his uncle's orders, Justinian received the best education available. He learned to speak Greek, the language of the church and court, though he always did so with a Latin accent. He also learned rhetoric, theology, and the law. When Justinian turned 25 in 518 AD, Emperor Anastasius I died. Since Justin commanded the palace guard, some court factions tried to bribe him to support their candidate for the purple. Justinian advised his uncle Justin to take the bribe from the most generous bidder, use it to grease the palms of key players, and then proclaim himself emperor. After Justinian disposed of a few of his uncle's rivals, the swineherd from Illyria became Emperor Justin I. By the time he wore the purple, Justin I was almost 60 years old. He began grooming his nephew Justinian to become his heir. Justin legally adopted him and gave him important offices. In 525, Justinian received the title of Caesar, and 2 years later became co-emperor with his uncle. The well-educated Justinian took the lead in implementing his uncle's policies, passing edicts against heretical and neo-pagan sects within the East Roman Empire. Emperor Justin and Justinian also worked to heal a schism between themselves and the Pope in Rome, who then served as a junior partner to the patriarchs in Constantinople. Yet Justin also saw a war begin on his eastern frontier, which his nephew would have to resolve. The war between East Rome and Persia began in part because Emperor Anastasius had founded a frontier fort called Dara to anchor his eastern border. This annoyed Shah Kavadh of Persia. Problems became worse when Shah Kavadh announced that he wanted his younger son Khosrow to become his successor. To that end, Shah Kavadh asked Emperor Justin to endorse Khosrow's succession. Emperor Justin was talked out of the idea by his advisors, including Justinian. Enraged, Shah Kavadh invaded the Roman ally of Iberia in modern-day Georgia. Justin sent an army led by Thracian-born Flavius Belisarius to stop them, yet Belisarius's army found little success at first. In the year 525 AD, as the war began between Eastern Rome and Sassanid Persia, Justinian met his wife. Theodora was born in 497 AD, the daughter of a bear keeper named Akakios who worked in the hippodrome of Constantinople. Theodora earned her living, like her mother before her, as an actress. That meant performing in the hippodrome as an acrobat, dancer, and sometimes disrobing before the crowd. When not in the hippodrome, like other actresses, Theodora served men in brothels. How then did Theodora meet Justinian? It is possible the two met during a beauty pageant, sometimes organized to find wives for members of the imperial court, which included Justinian. Though he became smitten with the actress, Justinian's aunt, the Empress Lupicina Euphemia, adamantly opposed the marriage. Indeed, she could point to a law passed by Emperor Constantine 200 years ago, which forbade patricians from marrying actors. Yet after his wife's death, Emperor Justin I rescinded the law and Justinian married Theodora. By the time of his uncle's death in 528 AD, the two had been married for 2 years. Justinian insisted that his wife be crowned as his equal, not his consort. Their lavish coronation in the Hagia Sophia seemed to proclaim a new era for the empire. The pair matched each other in intelligence, ambition, and energy. First, Justinian had to confront Sassanid Persia. He tried to negotiate, but the talks went nowhere. So he dispatched 2 commanders, Citus to the north near Iberia, and Basileus, who led the Mesopotamian army further south. Basileus began building a new fortress at a place called Thanurus. Shah Kavadh of Persia dispatched a commander named Xerxes with 30,000 men to stop the construction. At the ensuing Battle of Thanurus in 528 AD, Basileus was defeated, yet he inflicted devastating losses upon the Persians. Most of the Shah's personal guard, the Immortals, perished in the fighting. Plainly, they did not live up to their name. Shah Kavadh could not press any further, and the Persians would have to wait until 530 AD to attempt a second invasion. This time, Shah Kavadh appointed a man named Perazes to lead the invasion. After crossing the border, Perazes camped less than 3 miles from the fortress at Dara. Perazes had 40,000 men, while Belisarius had only 25,000. Knowing he did not have the supplies to withstand a siege, Belisarius left the fortress and ordered his men to dig a set of 3 trenches in a defile between 2 expanses of rough terrain. He stationed his cavalry on the flanks behind trenches dug some distance in front of the central trench. Belisarius himself stayed behind the central trench with his personal guard, called the Bucellari, and his infantry. Basileus also had 300 Herulian horsemen on the extreme left for an ambush, along with 1,200 Hun mercenaries as a mobile relief force ready to strike the Persians wherever they were needed. As Perazes approached, he put the Persian cavalry on the flanks as well, and placed his 10,000 immortals at the center of the line. First, he sent his cavalry against the Roman left flank. Though they pushed the Romans back at first, the Persians stopped when they saw the Huns waiting in the wings. Because of this, the Romans were able to regroup and push the Persians back. With night falling, the two sides agreed to single combat between chosen champions. In a good omen for the Romans, a fighter named Andreas beat both Persians sent against him. Yet 10,000 Persian reinforcements arrived in the second day, and Perazes grew so confident that he sent a messenger to Belisarius telling him to prepare a bath in Dara, which he expected to soak in by the end of the third day. When combat began, the Persian cavalry again pressed the left flank hard. This new Persian commander did not notice the Hun reinforcements hiding far to his left, and they swarmed the Persians, slaughtering them. The Persian commander then decided to mount a full frontal charge, but shifted the immortals to the left. Belisarius observed the move and sent his cavalry against the immortals. One by one, each of the Persian attacks failed. When the commander of the Persian right died in combat, the remaining army panicked and ran away. Belisarius's troops pursued them, slaughtering thousands of Persians. Belisarius only ordered his Roman soldiers to stop because he feared a Persian ambush so far from his fortifications. The Battle of Dara marked the first great Roman victory over the Persians in almost a century. Overnight, it made Belisarius a hero of the empire. The defeat utterly humbled the Persians, who lost despite outnumbering the Romans 2-1. Justinian sensed a truly great commander in Belisarius and moved the victor of Dara to Constantinople. After a couple of more years of fighting, Shah Kavadh of Persia died and Khosrau took the throne. He proved far more willing to negotiate with Justinian than his father. In the end, Justinian paid Persia 11,000 pounds of gold in exchange for accepting their losses. Why did Justinian prove so willing to make peace on these terms? Because he wanted to reconquer the Western Empire, and he found the man to do it, Belisarius. We will talk about Belisarius's wars in the West in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this installment of the Legendarium. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe, and if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.